still alive? Woo! Yeah? Everyone, I mean, it's quite amazing, right? It's a feast what you've done. 8 hours in a row. I just had a discussion with Andres. Every single one of you gonna get a certificate of attendance. I mean, really, it's a feast, right? It's a milestone, right? Something to be proud to achieve. It's not my first time here in the region. Andres invited me in Colombia, where I spoke about happiness KPI a few months ago. And it's good to inspire, motivate your staff. But today, let's go a step deeper. Purpose. You know, I've done this work about happiness, purpose, joy, storytelling about 5 years now. And I just know one thing. It's a statistic. About 10% of you usually absolutely don't care about anything about purpose. So, anyone want to raise your hand? You don't care absolutely anything about happiness, purpose? No? Good, everyone is on board. Otherwise, I still want you to make you happy, even though you don't care about happiness. So just close your eyes, close your ears, watch your iPhone, feel free to leave, I won't be offended, I'm fine. So let's get in the topic of what did we learn from the science of happiness to create purpose. First, my background, I just want you to make sure I'm not some crazy guy, new agey. I'm a little bit crazy and new agey sometimes. My wife will tell you so. But I still started my life in finance. I tried mergers and acquisition, brokerage, international taxation, financial advising, financial communication. I think I tried every single thing just to make sure I'm not meant to do finance. Or maybe I was just not smart enough. I don't know. But at some point I had to realize, I said, okay, this is not for me. This is not where I can fulfill myself. I spent some years as well in tech. I create hackathons and a bunch of events around technology around the world. I'm part recently in France of something called Happy Tech. It's all about the startup that does things around employee engagement, happiness. It's not big, it's not as big as FinTech yet, but you know, who knows. And then a lot of things around happiness. And for the last 2 years, I see everything merging. So I've been, one of my big clients in New York is a fintech company called Quartet. I do lots of emotional intelligence, coaching with them. I work with Olivier Nguyen, which is a big fintech guy in London, Singapore. I train Chief Happiness Officer for BNP Paribas. I do lots of workshops for AXA, etc., etc. So I'm legit, right? I have some sort of brain. So now let's speak about happiness. That's what made me happy recently. I have a 4-month-old baby. I know it's very American to talk about your family, but you know I've been living in America now for 10 years, so I have to talk about my family, my wife, my kid. It's not that I want to, but as a public speaker in America, you have to talk about your family. If not, something is wrong with you. In France, you should never talk about your family on stage. Something is wrong with you if you do. And the reason I put this is just to remind ourselves that happiness is so different from all of us. I mean, I've studied in and out, everything I could about happiness. I experiment. I work in 30 countries within this topic the last 5 years. All sorts of organizations. I mean, I work in fintech, but also with Cartier, Chanel, the UN, you name it. For all of us, it's something different. What I'm sure it's, and for 30% of people, it's your position in society. For 30% of you, you can be Japanese, Tanzanian, Ecuadorian, I don't care, you name it. Most people, when it comes to happiness, it comes down for them, how do they fare compared to their neighbor? How do they fare compared to their friends? How do they fare compared to their colleagues? It cannot be just your position in society, right? There's some around 10, 12 topics that keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. You've heard of them. It's nice to touch on this again. The first two on the very top, right? I guess in your world it would be like the series A of happiness. You have to make sure you are into giving and to forgiving. And for giving, it's easy. We all know. We need to help, doing volunteer work. We know it makes us happier. Forgiveness about what you've done in the past, about what people have done to you, it's a point we don't talk enough about. And I and after working with about 1,000 people as a coach, I can tell you that as long as you have not forgive yourself for things you've done or people that wronged you in the past, it'll be hard to get some sort of inner peace. And then, of course, environment, gratitude, autonomy, career, etc. Expectation. Someone said that happiness is a reality minus expectation. And then at the center, progress. So it's not enough to fare good in terms of friendship and health and family and money and whatever. You need progress. You need to go to the next step of whatever you decide to work on your happiness field. And no matter which way you look at it, it's always between joy and purpose. And it's very easy to understand joy. But purpose, that's why we're here today. And for the last 2-3 years, the science of happiness is focusing on what is purpose. So what is something higher than yourself? How can you align what you do now with a higher purpose, something which is above yourself? Not easy, but I can take anyone and work about 10, 20 hours, and they don't need to be with me 10, 20 hours. They need to understand the principle, so they get it down, the science of purpose. Who has heard of this movie? Alive? Yes? Right. Half of the room. If you have not heard of the movie, I'm sure you know the story. It's from your region. It's an amazing film, by the way, you have to see. It's about those rugby men, 1972. Yeah, 1972. October, November 1972. They travel from Chile to Argentina. They crash their plane into the Andes. No one came to save them. Impossible to find the plane. Few die at the crash, and few start to die in the next few days. The only way they survive was by starting to eat each other, right? To comer. It's one of the last Spanish words I remember from my Spanish course, maybe because I'm being French. It's the only thing I matter. And more than this, so the one that survived, they did the horrible thing in order to survive. So they went inside of themselves. They say, what action can I take in order to survive, even if it's horrible? Then the one who went to get help, so who saved everyone else alive, so which means they had to go on an empty stomach and travel for 3 days through the mountain, minus 30 degrees, to try to find help, were the people with the most purpose. So they were not the best leaders of the group. They were not the happiest guy. They were not the most joyful guy. They were the guy with a deep sense of purpose, which comes down to two things in their case, which was either they absolutely know who they love and they absolutely have to see again in their life, right? Either their kids, their wife, their grandma, but not, it seems easy, not everyone has this deep sense of connection with family. And then the second thing is, some of them absolutely want to tell the world what happened. And this is usually a sense of purpose. This is many of you guys in fintech, you want to be there. You want to be there. You've been there in the fintech world a few years from now. You were there in 2018. You want to leave that era, right? You don't want to let it go through. So happiness has to go with this deep sense beyond yourself. Okay. What we don't see enough in terms of happiness, so I see a lot of happiness studies, management, and workshop. Unfortunately, if you just work on your happiness, which means you're joyful and having your ecosystem right, it's going to be very hard to create. And here it's the best audience for this message, because to create you need a sense of purpose. Out of happiness, very hard to create. This is why Tribe, which I spend a lot of time in Tribe in Ecuador, South Africa, Kenya, you name it. Tribes, they are the happiest group of people, usually, not every tribe. Yet, they can't create. They can't innovate because they don't have the same sense of purpose as an entrepreneur, as an artist. Purpose led to creation because of two things, of imagination. Purpose gives you imagination. I mean, this is why sometimes you meet people and say, this guy was not so smart in school. How did he become this great creative artist? I mean, I remember the guy could not study, could not remember anything, but they had a sense of purpose. Their sense of purpose for many artists was just changing the world. And because of that, their minds stretch. Imagination comes out of purpose. Purpose and meaning. This is really the core of what is purpose for me. So purpose is this alignment with yourself, this intention, these things towards you working for, right? That drives you. Because of that, if this is strong enough, everything that happened in your life has meaning. All those deep hardship that happened to you. In your case, if you fail 1, 2, 3, 4 startups. In Silicon Valley, for instance, there is a saying, they say, as long as you haven't failed 3 startups, you're not a real entrepreneur. One of my friends, Tej Badia, failed 3 startups, and now understood it was not his time in life to be an entrepreneur. He's got the top job at Google. Another friend of mine, Mathieu Nouzaret, in New York, failed 3 startups, and finally one day he said, okay, what is the true product that matters to me? What is one thing that will change the world, change my life, change the people around me? He found the product, and they download 100 million. That was Song Pop, for those that you, it's a great product on Facebook. Principe, I wrote it in French. Principe number 1, define your key failure, which is already the same thing, which is what are the failures that made the most in your life? So the failure where you understood who you are as a person. All of us have failures, right? And those who don't talk about failure are either psychopath, sociopath, liars, you name it. So once you understand your key failure, you can then understand the meaning. And the great thing about having meaning for those failures is that not only you can inspire yourself, which means keep renewing your passion when the tough get going, but also to inspire others. I mean, I've been so fascinated by this principle of this, that aside from my happiness coaching, which I do with company, right? I spend 2-3 days with them. I created an event, Stand Up for Passion, and I think I see one of my friends in the room, Wenyi Sai, with a great investment fund, Polymath Venture in Colombia. She was one of my speakers in New York a few months ago. She did an amazing job. You should check her video. It's coming out in a few days from now. And we felt so much a sense of purpose, right? That at the end I say, let's vote for her for the next president of America. I mean, everyone was in sort of tears, in laughing, because there was clear. There was a reason why she's raising such a big fund now. There is no mistake why I think entrepreneurs are at the place they are. So not only you can inspire yourself, but you can inspire others. And for me, that's the real goal in life, right? I really don't care about how much net worth as someone is, how much impact they have in other people. I'd like to sort of leave you with 5 things that very easy to remind yourself. First is, if you're not aligned with yourself in a project, or your partner, your employee are not aligned on the same value, get out. I had a conversation with this young woman from Panama. She's in the startup boot camp earlier. And I was telling her this, it's just, it has to matter for you, not in the short term, in the long term. You have only, I mean, I was just watching the documentary on Warren Buffett last night, actually. It's great, you should check it. It's called Being Warren Buffett. It's 90 minutes on YouTube. And he said the difference with him and every other investor in the planet in 1962, I think when he started, is he only wanted in company that had values, even though he flatters, he did some other stuff, but he wanted company that had values at the time and long term. And he was booed by everyone in Wall Street when it started. They didn't believe it. Now he's the richest guy in the world, right? Get out of any project, or have your staff get out of any project that you're not aligned of. And if you don't do that for yourself or for people around you, do it for the next people that you want them to join your mission. Because purpose is the new currency. I know some of you are going to tell me, no, it's Bitcoin, the new currency. I get it. Fine. Bitcoin and purpose are the new currency. Then write it down, your mission statement. Again, it's not an easy thing. Might take you a few days, a few weeks, even a few months. But once you get it down, it might take you at least 1, 2, 3 years as a fuel. Your purpose changes over the years. But when there's a strong purpose, it can keep you a good enough time. For me, this is the unicorn, if you want, of happiness. It's the Bloomberg of happiness. It's Ikigai. How many of you know this principle? 1? Okay, it's not so much, no, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's an Asian principle. I spent 4 years in Japan, 2 years in China. Love stuff from Asia. It's coming now big time in the purpose industry. Everyone's writing about Ikigai. Ikigai basically is to sit down one day with yourself, with everything you've done, your failure, your success, and everything you want to do in the future, and really try to find that common things between what the society, the world needs, how you know how to make money, where your passion, your talent are, and everything else that you think people see you good at. So your talent, your passion, and the world, and how you know how to make money. It takes you a few days, okay, but it's a great exercise. I encourage every one of you to do the Ikigai. 4 quotes that can start the conversation with yourself. Leonardo da Vinci wrote so many things about creativity and fulfillment. I don't need to tell you that. Half of you are entrepreneurs in the room. Richard Branson, a lot about impact, of course. Warren Buffett said that he actually talked, surprisingly enough, a lot about values. And he said, for him, most people at most age, we all want to do so many things in our life, right? And he comes down an average of 20 things. And he said, just focus on 3 things and force yourself for the rest of your life not to do those 17 things. I'm still trying to apply that for me. I still like 5, 6 things I'm doing, to tell you the truth. But I do know that if I want to be the best at what I'm doing, I need to come down and just focus on those three things. And then, this is to keep me sane. I just decided to add that a couple days ago on the slide. So I do believe, right, in what I say. I believe, let's say, 90%. But I just keep a grain of doubt, and I think it's good to. It's something I encourage you all to look at when you go and in front of an audience. You have to be crazy sure about what you say, yet in your demeanor, you need to have some sort of vulnerability, right? Because as the UK philosopher said, the trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent are full of doubt. Now, if you want to work with me, there's a different way. I'd love to come back to Mexico. I love to do this region. I've done things in Venezuela, in Aruba, a lot, one happy island. We are starting a leadership retreat with 10 entrepreneurs with my staff in Bali in January. It's going to be quite amazing. I do team coaching across the world, so it's an audit. So basically, I observe the way you react, interact with your employee. I usually work with the leadership, sometime with team under, and this is some of the company that I keep working on and off. The United Nations is a big one, many other. Stand Up for Passion, so this event, which we've done across the world, I'd love to bring it in Mexico. We're looking now for sponsor. We have a team in Colombia already. Thank you so much. I'd like to finish on that one quote. Go tonight and think, what am I going to do with this one beautiful and precious life of mine? Thank you very much.